All right, folks, this is Rex White. This is step four in the success curve that I created in 2019. I know we're in 2026, so I'm halfway through my entrepreneur journey, which started in 2020, that will end at the very end of 2026. And my goal was to create a significant business over 10 years using technology, using advances, tools, AI, and to help those tools make my business more successful. I wrote this plan out, this curve that you see. In 2019, I was actually homeless. I lost everything, family, made out of house, career, just a lot going on. And I wanted to build something significant for my children because I knew I was going to have a long journey to really be able to impact their lives, not being in the same house. And I know a lot of people can relate. And so this video right here is more internal. I think it's important to understand that if you start a business and you want it to be successful, you really can't overlook the fact that a business being built will also build the person. You build yourself simultaneously with a business. Um, a person who is fortified, who won't give up, will have a successful business. If it's in the right industry, if it's in the right industry that gives you room to get into it, enter, and also move around. And this is important because not every industry is a good industry because it's dying, and not every industry will let you in because you don't have enough capital, you don't have enough, cachet, you're not well known enough, right? We live in a capitalistic society, which means that your value is in what you can produce and other people can make money off of. If you got no money and no one knows you, no one's going to invest in you. You got to get on the radar. You got to climb the radar. And a lot of times it can take 5 years for you to even be relevant to a local entrepreneur who wants to make money off you. So you're gonna have to do a lot of soul searching, a lot of development of yourself to make yourself relevant at some point. And here's what happens: you start off, you have no money, you're not relevant. But if you keep going in the dark where a lot of people can't see you, at some point you're going to merge and emerge as a person that people can see what your value is and want to invest in you. At this point of you doing all this work for 5 years or so, you developed. You're actually a person that's worth investing in. Whereas day one, when you want money, when banks are telling you no, particularly if you're in the food business, no one's going to give you money in the food business because they already know it's the hardest business to be in. But if you continue to go and grow and iterate, at some point when you get on the radar where you are investable, you're the right person to invest in because you know what you're talking about. You've grown, you've matured, you learn patience, you learn how to discern, you have esteem, you know what you're worth because you've done all the work. And so let's really focus on the ability to iterate so that we can find ourselves in a place where we're investable. And just because you're investable don't mean that you should take an investment. Literally, an investment is you're kind of buying a boss. You know, you're sourcing a boss. You want somebody to tell you what to do. And so if you're like me, you really don't want investors. You want to be able to get investment money, but you don't really want it unless it's the right kind of investment. An investment in me would be a partnership. It'd be okay. You want to bring your money over here, but what you're gonna bring over here to add value to what I'm building for me. And so you want to be in that position where you can be like, nah, I know you got money, but okay, I got customers. I got something that you can't do. You have money, but I have ability. And so by iterating, you have more ability. So let's get into iterating. So I'm a big iterator. And the way you become a big iterator is you watch everything. If you have 5 elements of your business, let's just say, let's break it down. You have COGS, you have staff, you have overhead, you have marketing ability, both internal, social media, external grassroots flyers, right? You have flow, you have front of house, back of house flow. You got POS system, you got ability to online order, you got the ability to go from plates to takeout containers, you got the ability to um, use DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, you got the ability to cater, you got all these things that you have at your disposal. Iterating means looking at every single one all the time to see how you can get better. You also have waste, food, food waste. Um, so a great iterator is looking at everything all the time. And I don't mean like in a maniacal way where you just pulling your hair out because you got so much shit to examine. I mean in a way where you're like, okay, here's my staff. Are they good? Are they efficient? Are they solid with the customer? Do they present well? Do they represent my culture well, my branding well, the things I'm trying to do well? Do they pay attention, or are they sucking me dry? I have no customers, and they're asking about their tips. You know what I'm saying? And this is relevant in any industry because we're always in the people business. So the people around you, are they adding value? If they're not, then you pluck them out. That's iterating. My staff is not good enough. Let me iterate. Okay, that's one thing. Sourcing. Food cost is the biggest expense except outside of payroll in a food business. So you need to rank biggest expense to least expense, and then you're going to iterate and measure. So you're going to take your biggest expense and see how you can iterate and lower your biggest expense all the time. So if food is your biggest expense and you want to be sourcing more, buy more, that's called economies of scale. Buy more and then unit costs go down. That's one thing. Simultaneously, if food costs are up, then you can add more money to your prices. Go up on your prices a little bit to make it make more sense. That's iterating. I'm changing my prices. Payroll, right? Payroll, usually the top expense in most businesses outside of restaurants. And sometimes in restaurants, it can be as well. So, unfortunately, states set their own wages. They have tip mandates, the whole 9 yards. This is why fast casual is becoming a thing. Fast casual just means that you have counter service. People go get their own napkins and forks and all that kind of stuff. If they tip, they tip. If they don't, they don't. Right? But it's saving restaurants so much money in front of house expenses, payroll, etc., tips, you name it, that it's saving the industry. If every restaurant was full service, half the restaurants would die today. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable at all. And so that was an industry iteration by where restaurants say, you know what? Forget all this full service. We're going to go ahead and go counter service. You go get your own stuff, and here's a takeout container. Because most restaurants give out takeout containers to half their customers. So you got dishwashers washing dishes, and you're still giving out takeout containers. So why not just give customers takeout containers? And I know this is not popular for all people, but not all people in the restaurant business to understand why that's necessary. All right, so every industry is different, but there's places that you can, or there's ways that you can iterate no matter what industry you're in. Find your biggest expense, and then you attack it. You attack it so much that it makes sense, but it doesn't turn away your customer. And so two things can happen at one time. You can cut costs on your payroll, but you can also offer amazing customer service. That should not be sacrificed. Many restaurants out here, they have very little presence when it comes to customer service. Counter service does not mean that you can't give great customer service. I believe you can. And I believe that that's going to continue to be the thing that's going to stick out when people think about the restaurants that I have something to do with. They're going to realize that, oh shit, well, we're doing a lot here. We're getting our own stuff, but we still get connected with. with the story, with the person that created it all. And it's a fine line to do that, but it's very necessary because we're going into an age where people are getting used to seeing robots bring out food, or robots doing X, Y, and Z in any industry. So the connectivity is going to be very valuable. This is why I tell people who write books and do certain things, identify you as a person who didn't use AI tools to write your book. Because someday things being written, edited by people is going to be valuable. And so it's important for us to stay connected with each other as we go into this age where it resembles the Jetsons, right? And so this video is primarily to talk about iteration. In any business, you can iterate. If you are a barber, for example, you're offering a service, right? You cut hair for money. You cut hair for money. It would make sense that where your customers are positioned, where they're facing, that you have a beard balm, a hand lotion, a hair gel, do rag, a rack right in front of them so that you can sell them something you're using on them while you're cutting their hair. Hair salons, nail techs, wherever the line of sight is, where your customer is, there should be something for you to sell your customer. This becomes its own business unit to add revenue to your bottom line. And of course, margins play into all this stuff, and I'll explain margins as well. But iteration just means, okay, I got a functioning business. Now, how can I make it more liquid? How can I generate more revenue or keep more money in my pocket? The other thing I'm going to say before I quit is that waste. I mentioned the barbecue sandwich, food industry. Waste is a thing, and a lot of companies build waste into their numbers. I believe in zero waste. I believe there shouldn't be any wasted food other than the food that we give the people who buy it and they throw it away, right? That's the only waste, but that waste doesn't cost me. And there's a way to look at it, there's a way to do it. This is where the consulting comes into play, where I show restaurants how to not have waste. I think the thing that you have to have waste is crazy. It should be completely eradicated, eliminated, etc. You should get paid for every food that you buy, that you prep, that you position to cook, and that you serve on a plate. Every bit of that food should go to a customer who paid for it. There should be no food in your trash. Does that make sense? Um, Hope so, because I can show you how to do it. All right, we're going to leave this video right here. We primarily just cover iteration. Iteration is a mindset. It's a process, but it starts with your mind, right? You got to say, how do I get better? So once you fell in love with the process, then now you're ready to say, okay, I got to create principles. Those principles are created from iterating. And once you learn how to iterate all the different units, all the different things that you have responsibility over, and you keep doing it over and over and over again, you're gonna become the kind of person that walks into any establishment and say, okay, I see where they're going wrong. Now you're becoming a master business as an entrepreneur. I can look at any business and tell you how they can be better because of the skills I've learned from learning the restaurant business. And so this is where learning the process becomes really important. Falling in love with the process and creating your own principles in those processes. And the principles should be iterating all the time. Always be iterating, always. Oscillating, I call it oscillating and iterating, like a fan, always going back and forth and seeing where you can improve every single bit of your business. All right, guys, Rex White. I am a entrepreneur in the food space, specializing in Creole Cajun food. I have Cajun in my DNA. My mother's Creole from New Orleans or Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My dad is from Shreveport, Louisiana. More to come. I'm going to show you how to be successful in any kind of entrepreneur endeavor. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching this video. More to come. Peace out.